Right. I think I might be live. Let's mute YouTube just in case. Oh, I am. Fantastic. Good evening, everyone. Trups isn't here yet, so it's just me for the time being. I assume he's stuck in traffic or masturbating, whichever is, I don't know, easiest for him. So instead I'm going to talk to you and about something completely unrelated to the two main topics of this stream. So, first of all, good evening, Dibula, Patriarch of the Sith, Cyrene, Diskanar, Beechin, Sarah, and Debs Red on Stargazer. And so psyched. Let's see. Yes, getting the tension out. That is exactly what it is. So instead I figure I'll take the opportunity to drop him. Yeah, you're right, I should. Talk about the complete... Hello, Graham. Mini Vesper. The completely... Oh, hello, Trups, you're here.
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Hello.
Sorry,
You
got stuck in traffic.
You owe no apology. I did say traffic was probably it. It's all good. How you been, Trups?
Yes. I'm getting excited for the ballet.
You heard that. Fantastic.
Oh, absolutely. I heard that. Yeah.
Great.
You should see my legs in tights.
You know what? Perhaps another time.
Oh, okay.
I'll take the opportunity to quickly just talk about Brexit for a second. Before we dive into the two topics I can be bothered to talk about. Because
Sounds good.
I watched that Judiciary Committee. I watched all 11 hours of it. I watched it all. We'll get to that. So, as far as Brexit goes, there are a couple of things that have happened. Firstly, a couple of people have indicated they want to take over the party instead of Theresa May. Esther McVeigh is one, the other is, Gok, I think is his name. Hello, Otaka, Gemma, and Tede. This is not going to happen or end well. The main arguments are they want to stop Boris Johnson. Congratulations. Ousting the sitting Prime Minister who has a safe seat for the next 4 years. Hello, have we left yet? And Stuart. It's not going to work. It's not going to end well. And hello, Peter Edwards and Texas Badger and Jonas. So it's a really bad idea. Another thing is that Theresa May is going to try and push to get her deal across the line, so another Brexit vote before the EU elections. Oh dear, oh dear. It is tragic that this is what Theresa May is trying to do. The rumour is that she's got a deal with the Labour Party that could command a majority, which does not mean that she has then got support of the Parliament, but she is kind of, at the same time, She has by the loosest sense, but hasn't really gotten support of Parliament. She's just got support of enough people within Parliament. It's a semantics game, I guess. So it's possible then we would stay in the customs union single market and basically abide all employment law that the EU has, but not be members of the EU at the same time. Right. There's a video doing its rounds, which I'm not going to play because I can't be bothered, of Michel Barnier branding Theresa May insane, because he pointed out that a number of times she accepted the backstop, and then accepted the deal, but rejected the deal, because obviously the buck stops with her. So it's understandable that perhaps, he's only going to complain about her, even though it's not really her so much. It's the complete inability to get a deal across the line. And yes, a deal that still ignores 17.4 million people. I know. I really do know. It is. And hello, horny hippos, and Full Moon Forge and Blacksmithing. That's quite the name. Yes. It is a bit of a betrayal, but then again, the argument always comes up. But hello, Trucking Bear. It does seem to be the case that people then point out that we didn't vote on the terms of leaving. Hello, Fairy Kitten. I think that kind of... we voted leave. I'm not sure where the nuance is. Unless I'm mistaken. What do you think?
Did you watch the... I'm sorry. I'm not clicking in, am I? Oh, yes, I am.
Yeah.
Okay. It didn't make the normal sound that Discord does.
Oh.
I think it's because I engaged streamer mode. Anyway, I think... Did you see my voting video?
No, I did not, sorry.
That was the Food for Thought, the most recent one that I had put out.
Oh, no, I did see that. Sorry, no, yeah, I did. Because I commented on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you commented on it.
Yeah, I did. Fuck it, sorry.
It's all right. But my whole comment about the UK was that you basically have a government right now that couldn't care less about the people.
Yep.
So the fact that anybody is vying for control of a party, kind of nice, kind of feels wrong to me.
Mead.
Because at the base of it all, what I'm basically hearing is that the government's in almost full totalitarian mode where democratic vote, fuck you.
Hang on,
Okay.
I have an echo on my end. It's not Trups's end. I do apologise. I put earphones in. Give me a second, everyone. And yes, that was quite a loud pop. I'm actually quite surprised that Mead made so much noise. Give me a second. I do apologise. That is entirely me, and I'm not sure why, since it's on a... you look, he jumped the roof. Carry on, please, Trups.
Yeah, chat, please let us know if everything is fixed. Anyway.
Thank you.
But yeah, so you have a government right now that literally does not care about its people, but people are vying for the control of said party. I'm concerned with every person who has an ambition for that right now. Because that means one of two things. One, they're trying to vie for the party that is going full authoritarian for their own gain. Or, and this one I obviously have a lot more skepticism for, they're going to fix it. I have criticism of, all the people. So, yeah, the first one sounds more likely.
In the chat, and I tend to agree, by the way, Serene mentions that she doesn't, he or she, I never bothered to ask, Serene, doesn't think May will get a deal with Labour because Labour want a permanent customs union and second referendum. That is true, which is why a temporary one is possible. And yes, Mead is for invertebrates with tutus. Indeed. I believe the American term is, I think my fanny is showing.
That's an American term? Since when? I've lived here all my life.
I've heard older people say it, but not towards younger people. Hello, Sarah.
Yes, indeed. Serene is female. Is that a gender or a sex?
Yes, I identify as a lightsaber. My pronouns are... Please respect it. So
I'll do my best.
I was telling somebody else about this in DMs, and it just spiraled out. The conversation went nuts.
That's okay.
So, did you want to talk about the Colorado thing? Because I know very little about this.
I would rather talk about Barr first, because the Colorado thing, I have a lot of feelings on.
Thank you, Karma. That goes towards sending the snowball to Penny. And Mead is like...
Woo-hoo.
Yeah, I've got a spare snowball, and I figure, fuck it, I'll send it to Germany.
Hell yeah.
Right, so Barr. Okay. Do you want to give everyone the... I can sort of say vaguely what happened.
So the House Senate... I'm sorry. The Senate Judiciary... Yeah, the Senate Judiciary Committee approved a vote for Barr to be held in contempt of court. That vote passed. Now that goes to the whole of the House of Representatives to actually hold him in. Basically, what the Senate Judiciary Committee did was they argued amongst themselves about the actual reasons and the verbiage of their
I would point
contempt.
out it's actually the House Judiciary Committee from the House of Representatives, because Nadler was on it.
Yeah.
Not the Senate. And Divya was right to point that out. I have a couple articles up in front of me, and I was like, hang on a second, have I got this wrong?
No, yeah. They all look like scumbags to me.
To be
but
fair,
then I remembered that the Senate Judiciary, Lindsey Graham is on it. So.
Yeah, the Senate Intelligence Committee did subpoena Trump Jr., so, I mean, that might be a mild connection.
Yeah, I'm not happy about that either.
So, I, being British, I decided to take it upon myself to watch this. My reasoning was PMQs was done. Quite frankly, it was an absolute piece of piss to address all the comments on it. And The Guardian was live streaming the committee meeting, which Mr. Barr didn't turn up for, which is apparently a huge focal point. My main issues I really had issues with, minus the obscene length of breaks. The process was quite odd, and the result was a full. It was already a guarantee from the moment it started. I know this because of how they voted. I know this because of how many people in that room were Republican, how many were Democrats, and how many of them, all of them, were playing party politics. But also because of how many of them were also, when they gave statements, quite clearly ill-informed on what the Mueller report said. And
Or even worse,
They
not
are.
ill-informed, but intentionally misrepresenting it.
Quite right. I'm giving benefit of the doubt, and maybe I shouldn't. When I watched, the one thing I really found fascinating is, so in UK Parliament, we have this system during debates, but also after debates and speeches, and it's called a point of order. In UK politics, a point of order, the Speaker will give that person a chance to then make their point of order. The Speaker will then correct them if they're wrong, and obviously then keep it on record or add it to the record that the point of order has been, for counsel advice, has been added to public record. In US politics, though, the chair will then ask, what is the nature of it? And then makes the decision to decide whether that person can then speak. And I think that is shit. Because I did notice favouritism over the 11-hour, 45-minute stream that I watched. Okay, so it was a little bit less because of breaks.
But did you notice that Nadler suddenly remembered how to do his job?
He only ever seemed to do that whenever it was a Republican asking him stuff.
Well, I was saying, like, he actually, like, went through all the motions of, or at least he did yesterday when they were tallying the vote.
He did. There was also...
It was very, like, rigid.
It was quite impressive also that he was vehement that the subpoena was to, and I'm going to quote him because this stuck in my head, open a dialogue. That's not the purpose of a subpoena. That's not what it is. It doesn't open a dialogue at all. It's... No. He tried to fob it off as a friendly way of trying to get people to talk. He was incorrect. He got very defensive near the end of the entire thing when he was being put on the spot about this, and he was adamant that it was to open a dialogue. But that's not how you open a dialogue at all. And it really bugged me. I mean, yes, okay, it does legally start one, kind of, but it didn't. It doesn't. A lot of the arguments some made, and these also bugged me, was that they believed the Mueller report, and there were two people in particular whose names I can't remember, both ladies. I'm not going to say it was because they're women. It was just because I remember them both being ladies. They both said that the Mueller report showed Russian collusion and Russia interfered with the US election. Right.
The second one, at least, is true.
Yeah, but Russia did not interfere with the election. In fact, the only thing we know with absolute certainty as far as interference goes is that possibly Trump may have, not interfered with the election, but he may have perverted, maybe just stopped people investigating a little bit, but he didn't actually do it. Now, we know Trump used executive privilege, which is, I believe, the first time he's done this, to block the entire report's disclosure, but that's people are accusing him of abusing power. That's not the case at all. He's doing it because there are ongoing investigations still connected to it. It is wrong to put that all out there while investigations are still going on. I do tend to agree, once those investigations are concluded, yes, do it then. So, why is this an issue? But then, this is not something new. There are accusations of abuse of power during Obama's term, Bush's, Clinton's. It goes back because whoever controls the House and all that, and who uses executive power, It's going to be a case of you use executive power, you're abusing power. That's it. It's always going to be that. It's not that at all. It's... if Trump did stop the investigation or prevent it in some way, that then still doesn't prove Russia was colluding in any way, shape or form. Therefore, they still do not have any proof other than financial ties he has with Russia, which is not indicative of interference. Also, some of the people in the comments they made when they were saying Russia interfered, they referred to Russia as the enemy. And I thought, this is... you guys, you can't be in power.
No, they can't. Because they're fucking war hawks.
Because if you do, you're just going to start a fight. You're going to build wars, unironically after not wanting one, around countries you don't like because you think they're the enemy. Yeah, Russia are shady, but they're not your enemy anymore. They're really not. Fuck's sake. I just... I listened and listened, and I felt like I was going to start pulling hair out. What did you think of it all?
So...
oh, hang on, let me just brace myself.
The people who are currently in power... there are some Republicans and most, if not all, Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
They all need to be voted out in the next election. And the reason I include Republicans in this is there used to be an old term that conservatives used in the 2012 election called RINO, Republican in name only.
Okay.
RINO. And it's basically Republicans who call themselves Republicans, but they are definitely Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least they vote on the side of Democrats. Or they compromise their positions, like their fundamental moral and ethical positions.
Yeah.
There is a certain amount of backbone that we expect our politicians to have in this country when it comes to facing the adverse opinion. You could call it that we are argumentative, or that we are confrontational as a country. But we agree with compromises if they make sense. But if somebody is saying, I want you to compromise everything about your position in favor of mine, that's not a compromise. That's submission. So when... I don't know how the subpoena of Donald Trump Jr. went, but somebody had to vote for the Democrats on that, and Republicans have a majority in the Senate. So that is likely the Intelligence Committee, probably at least 4 or 5 Republicans flipped on it, and that's simply not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are perpetuating or you're giving credence to something that has been objectively proven to not be a valid use of your time. It's 2019. People have been in power for the better part of a year, almost a year and a half at this point. Can you think of anything that we have talked about regarding the House or the Senate that involves legislation?
No, I can't.
No. The only thing that I can think of right now is the First Step Act, which was a initiative started by Kim Kardashian, who is trying to basically
Prison system.
save people who have life sentences
Yeah.
for first-time drug offenses. And it's been working great.
I'm okay with that.
Oh, yeah. I think it's a great piece of legislation. But anything else major come from the Senate? Not really.
It sounds to me like they don't actually do anything, and that's a waste of money.
Right, exactly. We elected them to be our representatives, not to bicker amongst themselves over whether or not Trump is or is not a Russian asset. That's what we have a special counsel for.
Yeah.
Cool, he's done. Moving on. Like, let's give it the other way, right? Republicans, by and large, did not like the fact that Obama got elected. Let's be perfectly honest.
They did not.
And they tried everything. And eventually, they stopped caring. Sure, there were some who like held to it to the very end, but people who complain about Obama now, we have a track record to blame him on. Like our complaints about him are valid now because we can actually look back with hindsight. But in the moment, sure, there were people who wouldn't let it go.
Mm-hmm.
But now, like even in his second term, we were like, well, I guess whatever. We'll complain about his legislation. Let's do that. And then we, complained about Obamacare and things like that, and the fact that basically he forced everybody into a deal with the government. But okay, so you want to subpoena and hold Barr in contempt. Why? Like, what was your actual reasoning? Because each senator and each House member had a very nuanced take on the same fucking point.
Well,
It was
it was entirely because of those blacked out parts, and they believed that information that was classified or linked to pending investigations, was linked also to Trump's stonewalling or impeding the investigation, but that doesn't show Russian collusion. That's what they claimed during the hearing, all the while simultaneously saying, "Oh yeah, this is also indicative of Russia being involved." I was getting very frustrated at this point. Please continue. I do apologize.
But don't you find it interesting that I remember there was one person who dared make this comment? If you were to redact 8% of the U.S. Constitution, you could get rid of freedom of speech, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and I think it was the Fifth Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, cool. I'm really glad that we don't have any laws that would say that you have to redact the Constitution. Unlike this Mueller report, in which we have a fucking law in place that says we have to redact this.
What is the Fifth Amendment, by the way? Because I don't know it.
The Fifth Amendment, it's, I believe it's right to not perjure yourself, not self-incriminate.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I believe by proxy that also allows you to have defense provided to you. I believe it's either 5th or 6th. Hold on. Now people are going to judge me in the chat.
Well, while they're doing that, when the committee voted, so the vote was 40 people, but it was 24 to 16. That is straight along the party lines. Basically, plead the fifth. Thank you, Karma.
Yeah. It was, no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury.
Dibulous cliff notes. Don't have to testify against yourself.
Right.
So the vote was 24-16, and it was along party lines, which to me...
I fucking guessed it. Non-incrimination and defense. Fuck yeah,
congratulations. I thought that was a bit worrying, because when I heard the vote, I thought this was a guaranteed... When I knew how many people were in that room and voting on it, it immediately sounded to me like they were just going to unite on each side and only be outvoted because of which party they represented. So I was like, who chose these people? Why could it not be an equal representation to see if they could actually get a dialogue going between themselves to talk about it? Why did it have to be... Was it because of was it a proportionate representation of Congress?
Oh, so, okay, committee positions in Congress are completely based on who you know.
Oh, dear.
Oh, that whole fucking thing, committee positions is all about ass kissing.
Oh, that's not good
because if you sit on a committee, you get a bonus. But some people have, like, vested interests in it. So, like, Foreign Relations Committee. Ilhan Omar is on the Foreign Relations Committee. Why is she on there? Because she's a goddamn... No, I'm not going to call her a jihadi. She is borderline extremist in favor of Hamas and Hezbollah. She is not a jihadi, but she's close.
Well, she certainly falls into the bracket of things Corbyn loves.
Yes. I actually am surprised there's no picture of them together.
I'm sure there is somewhere. You just wouldn't tell. She might have been wearing a bin liner at the time.
But yeah, that's one person who I guess I'll call her a jihadi. All right, Horny Hippos called her a jihadi. I didn't do it.
When
But she has a vested interest in like what she could do on that committee.
oh dear.
And
Which
I guess people who didn't like Trump also really, really wanted to be on the Judiciary and Intelligence Committees, I imagine.
right. Okay. So when Nadler was talking after the vote and all that, he said that it was a grave and momentous step. And because of Trump's refusal to provide the full report to Congress, it was an attack on the essence of our democracy. But your vote was rigged. It was always rigged. Now I know it was rigged because it wasn't a fair vote. And fair in this context would mean an equal. It had to be an equal representation because you guys just play party politics.
Well, that's why I'm interested to see what happens when it goes to the full House.
Well, they want to take it to
Because-
court.
If they have in the amendment that says that this subpoena is to open up a dialogue, yeah, that's gonna be thrown out. Let's think about it real quick.
Go on.
Do you think the Supreme Court? Let's take it all the way up.
Yep.
Do you think the Supreme Court is gonna look at that and go, "Yeah, I agree"?
No, they're not.
No, they won't.
Well, it depends, actually. Does the Supreme Court also operate under the pretense of, who do you know?
Kind of, but not really. Most of the some of the older folks on the Supreme Court, the people they know are dead.
Aren't they trying to disbar William Barr at the moment?
Yes, they are. But think about this. So the system of checks and balances in the United States
Right.
is a 3-tier system. So we have 3 different branches that check each other. If the House, the Congress in its entirety, were to get out of hand,
Mm-hmm.
there are impeachment proceedings that one can take in the other branches of government to get rid of them too. But mostly it is the executive veto and a Supreme Court calling it unconstitutional to check them. But if a court, if the Congress were to bring up impeachment proceedings or something of the sort
Mm-hmm.
to get rid of another branch, there are avenues in which the Supreme Court then can say, no, you're doing this for strictly party political reasons, and y'all can get fucked.
Mm-hmm. Would you want to know something else that Nadler said? We have talked for a long time
To
about
Graham
approaching...
Shawcross, when
no,
wait,
he's-
hold on. To Graham,
Okay.
he says impeach 45.
Oh, I think
I
he's
say
being
Colt
sarcastic.
40.
I think he's being sarcastic.
That's why I said Colt 45.
But Colt 45 works. But he said, where is it? Oh yeah, we have talked for a long time about approaching a constitutional crisis. We now have it. Or we are now in it, sorry. Where? You're trying to push buttons and pull up information for stuff that you can't have access to just yet. It is simply a case you're trying to desperately clutch at straws and get something. We covered this. There is nothing in that report that shows any kind of collusion. And yet I saw at least 3 representatives claim that that's what it said, and you were one of them, Nadler. It's embarrassing.
It really is, and it's
Well, there's also calls for impeachment again. So, this is abuse of power, it's impeachment. But I'm sorry, this is the same bullshit I remember hearing when Obama was in office. This isn't new.
Mm-hmm.
It's really...
Do you know how many times people try to impeach the people they don't like? All the time.
Yeah, it's... Oh, I disagree with you. Right, let's impeach them. Okay, cool. Now what? It's that argument of implicit contempt. No, it's not. Oh, dear. And I tend to... By the way, I do tend to think that all the information needs to be out there once the investigations are completed. Because I think if the investigations are important, you can't damage those for the sake of having the information so you can point and because you may have found that Trump might have prevented investigating for like a day or something. They also want to. They also said, well, simultaneously saying they wanted a dialogue with Barr to simultaneously want to essentially charge him, like actually go down that path as well.
Yeah, they want to charge him for perjury.
Yeah, but That was Pelosi, wasn't it, who said that last week, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
Where has he lied? His job?
It was that one time when I mentioned that letter,
Mm-hmm.
the Mueller letter, that he was like, "Oh, you didn't like that? I'm sorry. You want to call and talk it out? All right, let's do that." And then he said, "No, I don't. I don't think that we have a problem." Oh, by the way, according to Wikipedia, every president elected since 1980 has been the subject of at least one resolution introduced into Congress with the purpose of impeachment.
Lol. I see those party politics have been thriving for a long time.
Yeah, and that's after Nixon, by the way.
After Nick. Oh, well, there's a bit of an irony, I guess.
Right. Once they heard Nixon got it going in for impeachment, they were like, "We can do that." Yeah.
We know who to blame then, I guess. Fuck you. Who started it on Nixon?
Congressman William Fitzryan.
That cunt. It's all his fault.
He was a Democrat.
I did say cunt.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Do you think that this will amount to anything with regards to the contempt? Because I should point out, I'll preface this correctly. In the UK, the government was held in contempt of Parliament. And nothing happened. It was just on record, you're held in contempt. That's it. Now what?
So in the United States, contempt means possible jail time,
Yeah.
and it's a felony.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that you can't vote, have a hard time getting a job, especially with a clearance. So yeah.
Best go scrub those emails. What?
Oh yeah, bleach them
Mm-hmm.
by actually pouring bleach on them.
It's the only way they'll learn.
Yeah, and that's the funniest thing, right? So all this is not going to die. And I saw an article today that said that the 2020 plan for the Democratic National Convention is electability. You're an idiot. You're collectively one idiot. You. I can't. I literally can't even.
So I can't.
I had to.
Yeah, sure, Valley Girl. I I sort of think that it makes sense. They'd then, instead of actually focusing on now, they'd focus on 2 years. Well, next year. I think if they want to be reasonable, because obviously they don't want a second term of Trump, but their only realistic option is to think when they lose 2020, which they're going to lose. I think their only option is that they're going to have to think about 2024, because that's the only real chance they have to win. If the last 4 presidents has taught us anything, is that I think we're going to get a Democrat next.
Maybe.
It seems to go back. It has been going backwards and forwards, to be fair. And everyone's gotten the 2-term thing for the last, Clinton, Bush, and Obama.
Well, Clinton technically, he didn't get to finish.
Shh, we don't talk about that.
Well, he did on Monica Lewinsky.
In her mouth, you mean? Yes.
And on the blouse.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Sorry.
The Democrats don't have any electable candidates, do they? That's the funny thing. They think electable means old and white.
Yeah.
Like, collectively as a party, they think that. They are racist. They are actually racist.
But then their only real option is either an old white guy or a young, kinda almost white guy.
How about put up somebody that's a moderate? Like, okay, so Trump rubs people the wrong way because he's crass. Okay. People don't like AOC because she's a bumbling fucking fool.
Can she count?
So you think that the best way to do things is to oversaturate the Democratic Party's ticket and basically force people to just kind of throw as many fucking things against the wall as possible and see what sticks.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're going to hand him the election and probably the one afterwards, because people are going to look at, because I don't imagine once Trump is like done with, they're going to be like, oh yeah. Any suggestions? I'm sure I could come up with one. I would have to think about it for a little bit.
I would.
No, not Tulsi.
Oh, I did have a point. I completely forgot. Oh, AOC is a lot of crap, right? And there was this video of her dancing, and people were giving her shit for it, but in the sense of, I don't know, they're just abusing her, actually throwing abuse. And I watched the video and thought, she looks kind of fun there. What's wrong with this video? I'm very confused. She's just
Which
dancing on
one?
the one with her dancing with a friend on a rooftop.
Oh, I thought that was like pretty like humanizing
Yeah, it
actually.
was fun. I quite liked it. But I saw that people on Twitter actually had quite a lot going nuts
Yeah,
about it.
because that was a sock account that was posted by a Democrat posing as a Republican.
Yeah, I don't care. What is your opinion of Jill Stein? I have no idea who that is.
Jill Stein, she's the Green Party, yeah, if I'm correct.
Wait, that's a party in your country?
Yeah.
Lol.
Sarah, if you could confirm that for me.
Hmm.
But no, I would have to look into like who the Democrat possibles are. Um, if I remember correctly, she has the right ideas, but there are certain policies of hers that I don't agree with, mostly in terms of social policies. I'm socially very liberal, but only there are certain things that people have pushed me more to the right on recently. Um,
Right. Well,
gun reform being one of them. But
well, the gun thing we'll get to in a moment. To, I guess, finish up on this, the White House did respond to all of this by pointing
yeah,
out that, like Sarah Sanders said that it was that the president took steps to, at the Attorney General's request to reject unlawful and reckless demands made by the Democrats. Basically, they didn't like the results of the Mueller report, and now they want a redo. Do you think that's what they want? To spend another
I'm
30
sorry,
minutes?
a redo.
Yeah, do the whole thing over again, the Mueller report. Do the whole investigation over again.
Um, I think you'll find that that's bordering on double jeopardy. And the only reason I say that is because double jeopardy technically is actually you can't be tried for the same crime twice. So
Yep.
if I'm on trial for, I don't know, stabbing somebody, I can't, and like I'm acquitted, I
Yeah.
can't be retried for that same crime.
Gotcha. There is one last thing, and it's about Robert Mueller himself. Because he becomes a private citizen at some point in the very near future, and then becomes eligible to testify in this, regardless of the department's wishes, which could be quite fascinating if it happens, don't you think?
I'd be interested to see how it goes. Yeah.
I'd like to see that, because I could certainly see a few people putting him on the spot. Zombie Teddy Omegon is now a trans squishy. No, I just like wearing my tutu, okay? And it's not because Pencil Cookie hasn't got round to drawing me in my normal clothes yet, because she's been very busy painting herself blue.
Yes, of course.
Papa Smurf showed her who the daddy was, and jizzed on her
Ew.
face.
Ew. And yikes.
I did tell her she should have swallowed. Anyway, moving on from that, which did freak her out.
God.
And
Anyway.
yes, I'm beautiful. Did you? I don't know what this is, but the article title: "Hundreds of survivors of Colorado shooting walk out on gun control speakers and start a damning chant."
Yes. So let me give you the backstory on this
Okay.
one. Let me pull up the guy's name too, because I like to give a the naming privilege to those who have done good.
Okay.
Okay, so I think it was 2 days ago, at a high school in Colorado at the STEM school in Highlands Ranch. Two people went in with guns, shot one person, and wounded 8 others.
Oh dear.
One of them was 18, the other one was 16.
Oh dear.
The 18-year-old, and this is an interesting point, gay. The 16-year-old, trans.
Oh no.
Did you notice how you said at the very beginning of this, I hadn't heard anything about this?
No, you said that. Yes.
Yeah. That's just one of the aspects of this. The important part is that what ended up happening, why one person died, was when one of them pulled out a gun out of a guitar case. A robotics student, Kendrick Castillo, ran at the person with the gun, got shot, and killed. But it gave people enough time to also wrestle them to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Because one person standing up and running inspires the others who were questioning when to run and go. It gave them basically the signal to let's fight now.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that Kendrick Castillo was mentioned explicitly. So, once again, you have the conversation of gun control coming up in the United States. And
Yes.
obviously it hasn't shut up.
You need to ban your guns, you know.
Yeah, just like everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What ended up happening after that was people, mostly politicians and advocates, went to the school for an assembly. A lot of them were talking about gun control legislation. And the kids that you have on that article there.
Oh yes, I'll pull it
Decided.
up. Hang on, I'll pull it up. So
Yeah.
Here we go. There we go. Sorry, it's on the screen now.
Yeah. They decided that it was not for them.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to be talked at as a political point.
Mm-hmm.
This was not something that they wanted to be a part of. So scroll down. What was that chant that they said, since you've got that article up?
Oh God, I actually don't see what the chant is. Oh, this is not for us. Political statement. We are people, not a statement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds about right. And that's a fucking interesting change of events, isn't it?
There's a video for it.
Yes, there is. Go for it.
Give me a sec. Here we go. Okay, it's only coming. Audio's only coming out of my right ear, so it's going to be a bit wonky for everyone else. They're just leaving. Oh Jesus! The audio was coming through one ear for half of it and the other ear for the rest of it, but it's done now. Mental health was the chant, by the way.
Yeah, the mental health chant was because that was what they should focus on. These people are having delusions of thinking that this is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Mental health is what we should investigate. Why? Why would they want to do this? Perhaps there's a reason. Maybe we can look into it and find out what the reason for somebody to take up arms against their classmates. Because that's not what we're supposed to do.
Yeah,
So something's wrong with that person's thought process.
I agree.
So this is remarkably woke in the traditional sense, but on the other end of the political spectrum.
Oh, here we go. There's something interesting as well. Okay, so the video at the bottom. Please decline to use preferred pronouns of transgender shooting suspect.
Oh yeah, they got that person got pissed off. Biologically, a female identifies as a male.
Were they?
One of the quotes that I saw said, "Yeah, charge me for murder if you want, but don't misgender me." I was like, I am living in a fucking clown world.
Can I play the video of that for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Talk to you as the DA, but I want to begin by talking to you as the DAD, as the dad. I got 4 kids in this school system. My wife's business is less than a mile from here. I grew up in these parts. And if you had suggested to anyone behind me or in this room that within 20 years and 20 miles we would have dealt with Columbine, Aurora Theater, Arapahoe High School, the shooting of Zach Parrish and 4 other deputies, we'd have thought you mad. And yet here we are again.
You know, yesterday, a little before 2 o'clock, the STEM school notified law enforcement of an active shooter in their school. Officers responded. As you know, that the STEM school is less than probably about a mile from this substation. Officers from this substation, detectives and command officers responded, but we had officers on the street that were there with inside 2 minutes. Once at the school, they immediately engaged the suspects and started to rescue the children that were injured. We originally thought that we had a juvenile male in custody, but through our interviews yesterday late afternoon, determined that we have a juvenile female that is in custody right now, who is the other suspect. All of the...
Ooh, juvenile female in custody. What a shame. I've stopped pressing play. It's all good now.
Okay.
Is it a gun-free zone? That's a good question.
It's Colorado, so probably. I mean, it's a school. It's definitely a gun-free zone.
Although I've seen rumors about giving teachers guns in your country.
Yeah, that would be an idea. There are plenty of teachers who are more than capable of handling that. And some people, their response to that is, no, what if a student gets out of hand? I was like, then you better hope that teacher has been properly vetted before handling children in general, that shooting that student doesn't go through their fucking head.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sign of mental illness.
That person needs a lot of help.
Well, that's the thing, though. Like, the fact that person is totally fine with being charged for murder, for having helped another person conspire to kill classmates. But their biggest concern is, don't misgender me. Really, really should make people think who are like on the fence about this what we're doing.
The priorities. The priorities
Right.
are a bit off.
Well, I can't call it anything but delusional. Like, do you understand? You're going to go to prison for murder,
Yeah, I think
and this is what you're worried about.
they're gonna go to a women's prison, and they're gonna probably get hurt because they're probably gonna try and act like a manly male, like, you know what I mean. And
Yeah,
then some
but I also
butch girl's gonna come over and just knock her out.
you see, I didn't want to use the word deranged, but like,
Well, no, it does.
there's a fair point for it.
I hope they give her the help she needs. I really do. And I say she because I don't know her circumstance enough. Other than saying I don't know the full extent of this. I think she needs considerable help. I think any of the shooters do. Of course, they pull guns out in a school. They have issues. And they need help.
Right, but like at the same time, maybe you should go away for several years. Like, I'm going to be kind, because I usually don't tolerate people who would do deplorable acts like this against children as anything better than scum.
I do want a little more information, I guess, because that's
have we left yet? They will definitely not send her to a male prison.
No,
absolutely not. They would not.
She would be she'd be another number in that rather unfortunate statistic. And let's go with no. Even if she did, nah, not happening.
No, absolutely not. Even if I were like a parent of that, I'd be like, no, send that to a female prison. No, God, no, I'm not sending it.
Because of the.
Yeah, Psychomag put it towards.
Karma is quite right. I didn't want to say that, actually. That's why I didn't.
Yeah, I tried to avoid saying that, but yeah, what is there?
I think I do. I have to take. I want to take a little softer position, which is a bit inconsistent, I guess, considering my views on Shamima Begum.
Yeah.
I do think obviously something's wrong. And that needs to be taken care of. Yes, she should serve time because it's a consequence for actions. But I still think she needs help. And I think both, maybe there were 2 shooters, weren't there?
Yeah.
Okay,
An 18-year-old and a 16-year-old.
Okay, so whichever one is the other one, he
18.
He also needs help, but he's actually an adult. So
Right.
have fun for the next 15 to 20 years.
Yep. I don't know who actually pulled the gun, so I don't know which one actually did the whole shooty.
Pew pew
I don't know
thing,
which
yes.
one actually. Yeah. I don't know who went pew pew. But whoever did, yeah, 15 to 20.
Sorry.
If it's a 16-year-old, how about 10?
Well, look at you negotiating.
Yeah, I'll be kind.
You're a
If I were a
shit.
prosecutor.
You're a shit conservative type.
Oh no. I'm giving. You kidding? Conservatives putting. They don't want to put kids behind bars for 10 years, but ironically, Democrats probably do.
Oh dear. My apologies. You're a shit Democrat. My mistake.
Yeah, well, that's great. I'm a centrist.
Oh,
Registered independent.
You make me sick.
That's okay. But no, like in all seriousness, this the response from the students is honestly what I found very interesting. There were some articles that came out talking about how the next generation is remarkably more conservative.
Okay.
But at the time of those articles coming out, we saw a bunch of articles about David Hogg and folks like that. And a lot of people were trying to push the notion that the next generation is actually much more liberal, using David Hogg and the oh god, what the fuck school are they from? Parkland. Parkland students as references to this, but this is simply not the case. The rest of the country is actually very, very Republican, conservative, anti-progressive.
Okay.
Even that article is from like a very right-wing website, but that's because there is no other site commenting on it. Not originally, at least. There is now. But I want to see how this goes, and if we give it till 2020, I'm not gonna lie, I'm expecting to see Trump win by a landslide.
This gun control crap is not doing the Democrats any favors.
No, it's not, because once upon a time, the NRA was totally an okay thing to be a part of. Then after Parkland and the impending 2018 election, they demonized the NRA because also the NRA had given a considerable amount of money to Donald Trump for his campaign. They were called occasionally, well, and then they're still called on Facebook and Twitter, that they are a terrorist organization.
Oh dear.
Well, at least that's what people, common people say, who don't want to know more. Well, cool. That was a fun little thing that I got basically branded as part of a terrorist organization, at least by the mob, because I'm a lifetime member of the NRA. But it's interesting to see how these things pop up,
right,
when they're convenient.
It does feel a bit off, to be fair.
Always.
Okay.
And also, have you noticed how many more just in these last 40 years, or in the Trump presidency? It's kind of weird, like how many unsolved ones just happened, and like not even just in America. Like the goddamn Christchurch dude, he was like, "Yeah, I'm here to make a conversation in the USA." Wait, what? Why? You're Australian.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you care about the USA's politics?
I honestly have no answer.
No, it makes no fucking sense. And I could get really conspiracy on us, but I'm not going to. Just look up anything that we know about the Las Vegas shooter.
Oh God.
Spoiler alert. No one knows anything. But everything about him screams ex-US official.
That feels. Do I need my tinfoil hat for that?
Yeah, you do. But when you find somebody who suicided with the hard drive of his laptop missing, yeah,
Oh dear, people get very suspicious.
that's not fair. You can't expect us to be like, yeah, that's okay.
I feel like we're stepping into an area that I'm not entirely comfortable with because I have no idea how to respond to any of it.
No, it's totally fine. The whole point was that I want to see how the voter turnout comes, because this was the first showing of a mass of young people saying "fuck you" to your politics. I don't want to hear it. I have not seen that.
One has to respect the balls they have for this.
Oh fuck yeah! I imagine it was actually like a group of kids, and then they spread it around to like their friends and be like, "We're all walking out."
Good. Absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic. Okay. Well, I don't think I have anything else to talk about, to be honest. Do you?
No, I'm pretty set.
Do you want to shill anything before I end?
Yeah, I'm trying to get 500 subs before my birthday in late June. So if you guys want to come over and subscribe, I really appreciate it.
Oh,
I put up
shit.
2 videos earlier.
I,
Ooh.
I forgot to put your channel link in the description. Give me a sec.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm gonna go and get it.
E. But yeah, so if you guys could come by and sub, I would really appreciate it. But other than that, put up 2 videos. The first one was a news story, and the second one was a food for thought on if your vote matters. So yep, come by the channel, check those out.
Thank you all very
Yep,
much
there
for
it is
joining
in the
us.
chat.
Okay then, I think we're done. I am going to be
All
streaming.
right.
I'll have a video up tomorrow, and I will be streaming tomorrow as well, but on the game channel. So if you want to watch me do something really boring for a few hours, swing by. Thank you all for joining us. Say goodbye, Trups.
Goodbye, Trups.
Goodbye, Trups.